Okay, so let's start the today's session.
Okay. Yeah.
So far, uh, so what we did is we have just given default values to the attributes. So for example, in previous session, we have defined some attributes and given some default values. So default equal to some value. Let's say the first variable name is first value. The type is integer and the default value is 10. So that always the value of this variable is 10. So this is an initialization. So declaration and initialization, which is equal to, so in general, which is equal to integer first value, which is equal to 10. So this is called initialization. So, but I don't want to give the default values. I would like to give input values. Let's say I need a text box. So I just need a text box and would like to pass the dynamic values. So user inputs. So for that we use a lightning input. So today our target is lightning input. So lightning input. So let's go to the component reference ones. Always refer the component um, documentation. So this is your, and you can look for lightning input. So here is the lightning input. So it has different data types. So these are all the data types. It has a date time, it has a time, color. So in a given document, you can see most of the data types. You can use these data types. And here is a sample syntax for the lightning input. You can specify. So you can specify the label. What is the label of your field, and what is the type of your field. And you can also specify the value. So value is like an attribute value, like an attribute value. So as in simple, let's take an example of this. So lightning input type is equal to date. So here data type is date, so it gives a date picker. So by default it gives a date picker, and label is birthday. So and the variable attribute name is date. So this is an attribute name. So you can specify. So nothing to do with the name. So you can specify the values here. And the data type, label, and value. These are the three required attributes for the input. Even you can, so even if you don't specify the type, by default it will take the text. The default data type is text. So you have, so these many input types supported in Lightning. So these are all HTML5 input types. So all the inputs that you enter in Lightning, so it supports from the HTML5. You have the checkbox, date, time, even time also, and you have the file, password. So you can use all the data types, and the default one is the text type. So let's go to a basic example. I'll go to the developer console. I'm creating one Lightning application. The input one. So by default, when you define any application, extends to post SLES to apply the standard Lightning design system. So otherwise, it won't apply any SLDS. So if you want to apply the standard SLDS, so just extends to post SLDS. This is one of the standard library. So I'm defining, let's say, lightning input label equal to, let's say, first name. So if you don't specify, the default type is text. So this particular input accepts text type. Just to preview. So here is the text. We'll apply the CSS again. So here is the first name. This will accept the text because default type is text. So we can also specify lightning input label equal to last name, and I would like to make required field required equal to true. Check the output now. So you can see a star mark which is required. If you don't specify and when you click on submit button, it will allow the required. If you don't specify any value, see, complete this field. So if you put something, you don't see any error message. So remove that and come out of the field, then it will show the required check. So that is a required equal to true. So you can also specify type equal to text. Type equal to text. There's a HTML input type. So here is the type equal to default one is text. If we can also specify the text. Let's say I would like to add. Let's say I would like to design an input form. So let's apply some CSS here. Division tab. I would like to design the form with few inputs. Style equal to padding 50 pixels. You know the padding, right? So how the padding will work. So for example, this is your page, this is your application. So if you specify padding gives, let's say, for example, if you apply the CSS as padding 100 pixels. So padding will take, if you just specify padding, it will take uh, uh, left padding, left to 200 pixels, and right to 100 pixels, top to 100 pixels, and bottom to 100 pixels. So which means the component starts from here. I mean your div tag starts from here. This is your div tag. This is your div tag. That's where instead of starting the div tag from the beginning, I just applied some padding. You can see the difference. Before that, before this is your output. Now save this, save it, update your preview. Now you can see the difference. It has a padding of right side, top, left side. Anyway, you have the more space in the bottom. There's a padding, or else you can specify padding left 50 pixels. So it will give the left padding. Just give the left padding, or padding top, padding bottom, padding right. You can specify. So instead of that, if you just specify padding, it will give left side padding, right side padding, top and bottom padding. So now adding more data types here. Lightning input. Let's say I would like to design one registration form. Let's say employee registration form. What are the additional fields you can give? Let's say label equal to. I would like to give email address. Email address. And what is the type? Yeah, type equal to, you can specify email type. So in HTML5 it will specify the email type. We have the email type also. And what else we have? You have the password, you have the number. Number can be the age column and the URL, the website URL, and you have the date of birth, date of joining in the organization, time of joining, and you have the password, and you can specify all the other types as well. And you have the, let's say I would like to add one more input label equal to phone number and type equal to phone. So the advantage of specifying these inputs are, so for example, if I enter the email address, check here. So this is an invalid email address. By mistake, if the user provides an invalid email address, it has a validation, a default validation, say when the phone number. The phone number anyway, it will allow the numbers, including text also. So, but yeah, but for the email, so this is not the valid email address. And also, if you specify number type, label equal to, let's say age, type equal to number, and you can specify the default also, and value equal to, let's say value 30. So it's a default value, age is a default value, and it will not allow numbers. I'm trying to type it, it's not allowing me. Or you can increase or decrease. So here is a drop down. So these are the standard pickers. And also, let's say I would like to add a checkbox, lightning input type equal to checkbox, and label equal to, let's say married. And so you can see a checkbox. So you can add the checkbox, a default checkbox in the form. So also, so lightning input, let's say label equal to date of birth type equal to date time. I want to see date of birth of employee. So you have the date picker. See, so if it is a date time, you will get both date and the time also. If you just want to add the date, lightning input label equal to let's say date of join in the organization type equal to date. So if it is just a date, you'll get the date picker. This is a date picker. You can apply the CSS again to make it more beautiful page. But here these are the different HTML5 supported tags. And what else you have? Lightning input label equal to, so you can enter the color, let's say color check, or most like color. Just specifying some label type equal to color. So when you specify the color type, so you can pick some color, let's say green. It will show you the color code. It will give the color code. Or lightning input label equal to. So you have the password also. Password type equal to password. Save it. So when it is a password, the characters are masked by default. These characters are masked by default. This is how you can design the entire UI using the input. So it will allow the user input. these are all user inputs. The DML part we will talk about later, but so these are all user inputs. So user need a form. So similar to the Visual Force pages, we generally so to enter the data. So even in the Visual Force pages, we have affects attributes, affects tags, so affects input field, affects output field, affects input text. So similar to that, we have lightning input. So all the lightning, these are the more advanced than the Visual Force because this is HTML5 supported data types. So we don't have the color picker in color picker, or we don't have the time picker. So if you want just a time, you can also add the time. In Visual Force pages, we don't have time picker. That's a time like equal to other time also. So these are the more advanced to the Visual Force as well. So you can see you can pick the time as well. So this is how. So let's say appointment time. So appointment date and time, date of birth, date of joining in the organization, the employee age, employee marital status, or the email address, the first name, last name. So you can just design a form using Lightning input. So these are the Lightning input attributes. You can just apply some CSS to make it more beautiful. You can apply the borders if required. And you can apply some additional attributes, margin left, so 50 pixels. So you can apply. So this is a form. You can apply the title also. So enter. So just adding some employee registration form. Some CSS style equal to font size 20 pixels. Okay. So you can see employee registration form. So this is how you can build some Lightning inputs, Lightning forms. Questions here?
I'm okay.
Yeah. So let's move to another basic example. So how to use the value? Here, we just we're not using the value attribute. So how to use the values and pass the values to the client-side controller. So because when you define a form, you must need to pass those values to the client-side controller to handle the value, to handle the operations, or to pass the data to server-side controller. So for that, we use an attribute called additional attribute called value. So additional parameter value equal to, you have to specify some value. So here we have used some default value. So, but I don't want to use the default value. I would like to use the dynamic value. User input. So this is one example. Let me create another application. Can you please go on mute? is equal to course SLES, which is required, and I'm just giving, let's say, I would like to give an input form with 4 5 fields. So let's say an employee registration form with 4 5 fields. So I can reuse the code, or else let me write it again. Division style equal to width 600 pixels, margin left 100 pixels, padding 40 pixels, border 2 pixels, solid black, the CSS, and lightning input. What is the label? Label is first name. What is the type of the value? Type is text. What is the default value? I'm not going to take any default value here. We'll take it. We'll take the dynamic value. Lightning input label equal to last name, type equal to text. Same time, lightning input label equal to email. So you don't need to specify the data type. If you don't specify any data type, it will take the text. Lightning input label equal to phone, or lightning input label equal to age. Small font. So to add the values, to enter the dynamic values, the first thing is you have to define the attributes, because attributes are the data storage elements. So you have to define the attributes for each input, or a attribute for the variable name equal to, for the first name, f name, first name, and what is the type equal to, which is the type of string. If you want, you can specify the default value here, or else or the second parameter attribute name equal to last name, type equal to string. Similar to that, or attribute name equal to email, type equal to string. Or attribute name equal to phone, type equal to string. Then or attribute name equal to age, type equal to, let's say it can be the integer. Save it. Now you have to specify these values here. These are the v dot f name, value equal to v dot last name, value equal to v dot email, value equal to v dot value equal to v dot age. Save it. Just check the output once. So this is our form. This is the form we just defined. So you can specify margin. Just specify margin. So if it is just a margin, it will give 4 sides margin: left side, top, right side, and bottom. So this is how the form looks like. Now you enter the data. Say you enter some data. So when you enter the data, you need to capture the data somewhere. Where do you store the data? So to store the data, we use attributes. These are the variables. Just a variable where you hold the data. So I have defined 5 inputs. I defined five variables for that. So when you enter the data in first name field, the value, when you enter this value is stored in v dot first name. So just check the data in client side controller one. Just See how the data looks like. Lightning button is equal to show data. On click equal to see dot show data. So here is the client side controller action. Just copy the action name and this is the button. Save it. So here is the button show data. So I want to put the same button here. So here is the show data button. So I enter the data. When I click on show data button, I want to see these values in my client side controller. So for that, I define an action called show data. So define a client side controller. You just need to double click on controller. So they just created one default method. Just rename the method show data. So how can you get those values? So you know how to get those values. We have the component methods. So using the component methods, what are the methods you defined yesterday? To get the value from the attribute. And another one is set to set the value to the attribute. So you have total 5 attributes. So let's say first name, variable first name equal to, we define the variable equal to component dot get of v dot f name. So this is your f name, l name, email, phone, age. You must specify the same. So you must specify the same name because it's a case insensitive. F name, I'm just capturing other value. Let's say console.log. What is the first name? Variable last name equal to component.get of v dot l name. This is the last name. Console.log l last name. Variable email equal to component.get of v dot email. Console.log variable phone equal to component.get of v dot phone. Console.log phone variable age equal to component.get v dot age. Console.log age. I'm just printing those values. So I'm going to define one more method. Let's say clear. So clear data. Show data, clear data, function, component, event, helper. Console dot or component dot set of v dot f name comma null value. Just adding the null. On click of clear data button. So the next parameter, the name, first name, last name, and the email, and v dot phone, and v dot age. Save it. So you have to define clear data again in your application. So I'm going to define one more lightning button. Clear data. Action is clear data. So you have to specify the same method name here. Otherwise, it will not identify the controller action. So you have to specify the exact name. Just check the preview. So this is how the form looks like. I'm entering the data, first name, last name, email address, and the phone number, and the age. So when I click on show data, inspect the element, go to console. When I click on show data, I can see all the values in my console. So which means I'm able to pass the data to the client side controller. So here is the data. You can see I just use the console log to display the results. So when I specify clear data, so when I click on clear data button, you see, so here is an input I entered clear data. So the input is null. So I just made it null in the clear data button. So like this, we can just enter the data and pass the data to the client side controller. So with the data from the client side controller, we can pass the same data to the server side controller. Because to pass the data to server side controller, the data must be in the client side controller. So once we have the data in the client side controller, then only from client side controller you can connect it to the server side controller. In the server side controller, you receive those values and do what are the required operation, either insert or do some additional calculations. Here, a client side controller is similar to our Apex code. So generally, if the data is dependent with any object, so if you want to query the data from the object, or if you want to perform some DML operation, then only we go for the Apex code. We go for the server side controller. So without, if it is just a simple calculation, let's say arithmetic addition or arithmetic multiplication or some calculations, then if it is not related to database, we can do the same thing in the client side controller itself. It's not required to go for server side controller always. So you do whatever you want in the client side controller. If some dependency with the database or object data, then we call the server side action, any DML operation. Let's say I have the data, I want to insert the data in one record. So that is dependent with server side controller. So we call the server side controller from client side controller always. So without client side controller, you cannot invoke the server side methods. So the bridge between server view and server side, the bridge between client and server is done in between client side controller and the server side controller to pass the data or to get the data. Let me take the code back up. So let's move to another basic example using the lightning input. So let's say I will calculate one simple operation. So for example, let's take some input. Say I have employee, let's say employee registration form, or else employee salary form. In employee salary form, I would like to take first name of employee, last name of employee, salary of employee, tax of employee, and net salary. So I would like to define a form, a small form like this, employee form, and it has these many fields: first name, and last name, and salary, tax, and net salary, and one button to clear the values, and one button to calculate. Let's say the button name is calculate, or else you can also put the same button here. You can also put the same button here, calculate button, or you can just anywhere, so you know how to place the button, and one button for clear the values, nullify the values, clear. So I would like to design this form. So what are the things required? You can take one div box to place these elements, and you need to specify 5 different attributes. The first thing is attributes declaration. Attributes. So we have to define the attributes, and we put the lightning input. Lightning input to enter the user data, user inputs, and the buttons. 2 buttons. Buttons on the client side actions. Client side server actions. I mean client side controller actions. So we have to place these elements to define the form. So let's quickly define the form. I'm defining an application. Extends equal to force SLDS. So first define. So I would like to define the same using the lightning code. So you know the lightning code, right? So we'll change the design now. There is no change in the body part. We'll include the lightning code as well. So let's design first, then we'll modify to lightning code. Okay, so first div tag. I would like to specify the styles. You know what are the styles? Style equal to first border 2 pixels, solid black, and I would like to specify the margin also. Margin left 100 pixels or just margin 100 pixels. Inside the div, I would like to give an additional 20 pixel space. And what else you can give the width of the div tag. So this is the div tag, and inside that lightning input. What is the label? Label equal to first name, and what is the type? Type equal to text. So to specify the value here, value equal to, we have to define an attribute v dot f name, first name. So define an attribute for that. Our attribute name equal to f name, type equal to string. Don't want to specify any value, any default value there. Nara attribute name equal to last name, type equal to string. Nara attribute name equal to salary, type equal to specify integer. Nara attribute name equal to tax, type equal to again integer. Nara attribute name equal to net salary, type equal to. So these are the 5 attributes I defined to store the data, to store the input. I'm just copying it. These are the 5 variables: first name, last name, type equal to text. If you don't specify the type, the default type is text only. L name. Next, label, salary, type equal to, not the text type, it's a number type, number, v dot sal. You have to specify exactly the name, exactly the same name. Label, tax, type equal to number, value equal to v dot tax, and net salary equal to number v dot nsal. Save it. So now define an action. Need to define an action. 2 actions: lightning button, label equal to, one is calculate button. On click equal to some button name c dot calculate net salary. Then lightning button, label equal to clear. On click equal to c dot, let's say refresh button, c dot refresh data. Save it. So create a controller, client side controller. The first one, calculate net salary, one action, comma, Then copy the same syntax. And what is another action? Refresh data. The best practice, copy the method names always. The first thing is net salary. First, you don't need to get all the values. So to calculate the net salary, what we require? So I need salary, tax and net salary. So what is the calculation here? Let's say you have salary of 10,000 and you are paying tax of 10% tax. So net salary equal to salary minus salary into tax divided by 100. So which is equal to 10,000 minus 10,000 into 10 divided by 100. So 10,000 minus, so this will give 1,000, which is equal to 9,000. I would like to just do some small basic calculation using our input. This is what I am trying to do here. So you have calculate net salary and refresh. You just need salary, tax and net salary values in our client side controller. So if you want to get all the values, you can get it. But as per the calculation, so it's not required by other parameters. So I'm just getting those values only. Variable salary value equal to component. So you can specify any name here. Let's say I just want to give CMP. So if it is CMP, you can use the CMP here. So you can use another variable here. Where is just a method name? It holds a component reference of CMP dot get. So the best practice always you can use the component, or you can use whatever you want. Component dot get v dot, what's the parameter? Sal, SAL, where tax value equal to component dot get v dot tax. So we need to do the calculation here, where net salary equal to specify salary minus salary into tax divided by 100. So once you have the value, how to set it? Component dot set v dot, what is the net salary parameter? N cell, comma net salary. Save it. So once the calculation is done, then refresh data. What you can do, you can just nullify all the parameters. Refresh the form. Component dot set v dot first name. Component dot set v dot last name. Null. Component dot set v dot salary null. Component dot set v dot tax null. Component dot set v dot net salary n cell null. Select and preview the form. First name, last name, salary, tax. And what is the net salary? When you click on calculate button, calculate button, then only net salary is calculated. Inspect, go to console. Yeah, just clicking on calculate button. I don't see any errors here and see the value 9,000. So if you click on refresh, all the values are nullified. So this is how you can do the calculation, but I don't want to click on button. This is an example. I don't want to click on button on mouse over or on blur. So for the lightning input, I don't want to use any button. I don't have any button here. So whenever I enter the salary and on blur of this text, on blur of the tax field, so blur is nothing but when I move out from the field, I would like to calculate the net salary. So in lightning input, you have specify, go to the documentation. So you can see on blur. So you can use on blur. The action triggered when the element releases the focus. So when you move out from the field, you can invoke the action on blur. I'm just going to use that in net salary column in tax field. So on blur equal to, you can specify the same, this one on blur equal to this action. Okay. Now go to your application, see how it works. See. So I enter some value, tax value, and I move out from the field. I can see the results. If I change it to some other, I can see the changes here. If I put something based on the uh, value, it recalculates. So this is how you can define the forms. You can refresh those values again. So this is how you can calculate, you can enter the input and pass the values, attribute values to the client side controller and perform some operations and set the values back to attributes. So let's do some minor changes in the code. So I would like to add the lightning code here for more UI, for better look. So I just wanted to use a lightning code. There is no change in the attribute. I would like to use lightning. I just wanted to change the UI part. Lightning code and the icon name equal to some icon name. You can specify any icon. You know how to place the icon. So let's take the lightning code once. So if you want to add any icon, just go to lightning design system. Go to lightning design system. So you have the icon. So you can put any icon to the lightning code, which suits for your requirement. These are the standard icons. I just want to put this icon individual, and the icon category is, what is the category of this? So it is a standard icon. Icon name equal to standard individual. Save it. Just remove this once. Just remove that code. Save it and go to preview. So for the lightning cord, the title is a required attribute. You must specify the title and save and refresh. So here is the icon you can see. I just want to uh, add some CSS also. Division style equal to width. Let it be 600 pixels. So here is the way. I would like to add some padding also or margin layer. I can specify from there also. Save it. And you can specify some margins. Or else what you can do, you can also put some break lines. So this is a break line. So this is a lightning cord, and would like to place, how the lightning cord works. Let me show you again. So assume that this is our lightning cord. It has title. Here is the title. Just place some icon. Assume this is our icon. So I just want to put some title here. Let's say employee salary form. And you have the ARA set attributes. Attribute equal to actions. Actions will be placed here. You have two actions. One is calculate and another one is refresh. Calculate net salary and refresh buttons. And you have the body. So here is the body where I would like to enter the inputs. If you want to specify the footer, you can also do that. Footer comes here. You can just specify some text message and the text boxes. These are all the text boxes. So there is no change in the controller side. The change is only in the client. The change is in the application side. So no need to change any controller side actions. So just need to change your UI to have this look. So here is a icon, and would like to place some title. Place the title. Just going to write the code. Title equal to overall. How to place the title? Set attribute equal to title. So this is similar to Apex header. So in Visual Force, you have the header tag. You have the facet where you can specify the header and footer. Apex, we have Apex facet name equal to header. Similar to that, Apex facet name equal to footer. The same thing. So we use aura set attribute equal to title. Aura set attribute equal to footer. Like this. The title, the employee salary form, and then aura set attribute equal to actions. So you know where the actions will be displayed. Generally, we place the buttons. So these are the actions. This portion of this place is actions. Title equal to attribute equal to action. Placing two buttons, lightning. We have already the buttons defined in a previous example. I'm just copying those. The one button. This is another button. And where is the body? You can specify lightning on body here. This is title. This is lightning called actions. Let me save it. So this is the title and this is the action. I just remove comments, additional comments, and here is the body. The body is having these parameters. All the inputs. So I don't want to invoke this handler here. I have a button click. Save it. Aura set attribute equal to footer. Some attribute name. Now update the preview. So everything is center now. What you can do is just remove the center. Save it and check the result. So you can just specify margin left here, margin left, some pixels. So say this is a lightning pod, and inside of that, if you want to add some space between the borderline and your text field, you can use another internal div tag. Div, just want to use some padding 5 pixels. How do you style equal to let's say 10 pixels. So this is a space I just added. So calculate this is how the UI looks like. Salary, tax, and when I click on calculate button, it will calculate the net salary. But the only thing is you are different. So now this looks better than the previous example. So this is with the lightning cord. So we just added a lightning cord. Any questions?
No, Venkat, I'm okay.
Okay. So that's all for today. And tomorrow we'll
Mhm.
talk about the styles. So here in the lightning bundle, you can see. So we are done with. We know how to use the application. We know how to use the component. We know the controller part. So this is the client side controller. And yesterday we also worked on the helpers. So we know how to use the helpers. And tomorrow I will discuss more about the styles. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's connect tomorrow same time, and
Mhm.
we'll have more discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.